The lie you've been believing is, I don't know what to do. I'm lost and directionless. And this lie, I'm going to do this while I'm folding laundry. So, this lie, you know, we all like, well, at least me personally, I feel like that. Like, I feel like I struggle so hard to hear what God is telling us or telling me. Um, and I constantly am questioning, like, well, is God telling me that, or is that just what I want to do? So I'm thinking He's telling me that. Hi, Smokey. You know, I'm constantly second guessing that. Like, uh, uh, you know, everyone always says, what's, this is my purpose. This is my purpose in life. Um, and I'm just sitting here like, I don't even know what God's saying to me. It's challenging. And it's scary, especially when you want to serve God and you want to please Him. Um, but the fact is God does talk to us, and I think people forget a lot of times, like, how much leeway He gives us for like what we want to do, or like the direction we want our life to go. Um, and because like we are expecting, like, oh, you need to do this at 2 p.m. and then you need to do this and then you need to do this. Like, we expect God really to write out a schedule for us, and that's not how God works. He gives us free will, and He gives us a ton of freedom to make those decisions for ourselves. So it's really just learning. Like, it's not so much like, I don't feel like the lie is so much like we don't have direction. It's that we are just struggling to hear what our direction is. So the Bible debunks this. It says in Romans 8:14, it says, I am led by the Spirit of God because I am His child. And that's exactly what that scripture is telling us. It's telling us that we don't have to have direction or purpose, because God's going to give us that. And the more time we spend with Him, the more time we spend conversing with Him, the more time we are in His Word, the better to hear Him with, and the better to hear His message with. And it's hard to wait because we are so impatient as humans. We want all the answers right now. We want change right now. We want to live our lives for Him right now. And you can do all of that. But the key is with God, it's He doesn't just want us on a surface level. He just doesn't want us to just blindly obey. He wants a relationship with us. And relationships take time to form. Relationships are not formed overnight. Trust is not formed overnight. And so we have to remember that. We have to remember that, this is a two-way street. Like, this is not just our wants, our needs. This is a relationship's twofold. Like, two parties come together and work things out. And if you are just wanting God to be like, oh, do this, this, and this, it doesn't work, because you're not going to have happiness on it. Like, you have to communicate, and you have to talk to God to be able to figure out what's going to work for you and what's going to work for Him. I mean, that's just how relationships work. I think it's important to remember that that this is a two-way street, not just a one-way street. I also think that, like, when it comes to, like, to being directionless, it's also a trap that Satan sets for us. I mean, if you think about it logically, like, who is more ripe for distracting, for stealing away from God? than somebody who doesn't feel like they have a purpose or a reason, or, you know, it's so easy to manipulate people that don't have a purpose, that don't have, you know, a direction, a calling, whatever you want to call it. And so we have to be careful when we do get into that position. And, you know, like seasons change. So like me personally, I you know, had my season of motherhood, and coming out of my season of motherhood, and my purpose, my direction was lost. You know, I no longer, like, I was a mom. That was my job. That's what I did. And then all of a sudden I was done. Like, you know, I was home, and I had to figure out a new purpose and a new drive and a new way. And so you have to keep those things open. And they change. They change throughout the seasons of our lives. And that's why the relationship part of it is so important, because the relationship part of it allows things to ebb and flow as the seasons of our lives change.